accelerate in 2021. What is happening and why is it happening? You have to understand money flow, yeah? In the world today, there are over 50 million millionaires. That's right, over 50 million millionaires. And those people control between 90 and 120 trillion dollars, yeah? Rough estimate, 90 trillion, but millionaires like to hide their money, so you gotta figure it's closer to 120 trillion. Why am I saying this? Because we use United States, yeah, as an example. Because if you take a look at Canada, with a population of just under 40 million, there are more millionaires in the world than people alive in Canada. So they are not a good example, right? But they are affected. Every country in the world, Europe, all of Europe, Australia, these are all being affected because 80% of the 50 million millionaires are outside of North America. Yeah. Now in the United States, you have 120 million homes. That's it. Throughout the whole country. There may be a few here and there in the Appalachian Mountains that nobody knows about. Those are more like cabins, but anyway. Consensus is about 120 million residential homes in the United States. The entire value of that marketplace is $30 trillion. Yeah? And all the farmland, including the land and the dwellings and the barns and everything like that, is about $3 trillion. So, foreign investors, if you just take it as 80% of the millionaires are outside of the United States, and they own between 90 and 120 trillion dollars, they could buy the entire housing market of the United States 3 times over. And all the farmland 30 times over. Yeah? So what is happening? Foreign investors obviously deal in foreign currency. And there is about 20 trillion in negative yielding debt. So if they keep the money in their banks, they are facing depreciating currency and no income from money stored in the bank. Now, the worst thing that could happen to the housing market is low interest rates on mortgages. In a previous video, I explained how 1% drop increases the value of homes 15 to 20%. So what good is it to you to get 1% less mortgage if you are going to pay 15 to 20% higher in market value? Now, the Federal Reserve and the major banks, regionals as well, know this. They plan for it. Because think about central banks. They own a third, of all mortgage-backed debt. If they drop interest rates by 1% and the value, their collateral balance on the value of those properties, and we know that the total value of the U.S. market is 30 trillion, 1/3 is 10 trillion. So if they get a drop of 1%, they increase their collateral balance by 15 to 20%. For them, that's a $1.5 to $2 trillion gain. You think they are helping you, but it's not the case. the best thing for housing is higher interest rates. And I will explain it in another video, but 7% is the best case scenario for housing. Now, what's happening with the situation that is going on worldwide is a suppression of supply. For individuals within those countries, right? But outside of those 50 million millionaire plus people, right? They have nowhere to put their money. And this is why you see the dollar going down. People think opposite because we are raised to think opposite. We're not raised to see what is happening in front of us. When a foreigner sees their currency depreciating and they have zero or negative interest rates in their banking system, the capital looks for a place of safety. So now they see, look what's happening in the United States. Property values going up. Look what's happening in Australia. Property values going up. Look what's happening in Canada. Property values going up. So foreigners, and we stay with the U.S. cannot get back, like major sovereign funds or investment firms, they can, but individual cannot, right? So they have to pay cash, right? I mean, all cash, and you hear all the time, cash buyers, cash buyers. Well, who do you think these cash buyers are? They're foreigners, yeah? They come here, they exchange their currency in foreign markets, get U.S. dollars, right? And they come and buy distressed property or speculative property. The real estate agents, the real estate brokers, the investment firms, they see that. So they go in and buy, jacking up the price. Now, if it's local, within the country's borders, then those properties get rented out, commerce starts to happen, that's fine. But if foreigners come in and start buying, which they have been for the last 10 years, that's why property values have continued to go up since 2008, 2009. Housing bottomed around 2011 and 2012, I know, because I was buying a lot of property in the United States, and there was a surplus, yeah? And how do you get rid of the surplus? You start bringing in other people to purchase and bringing down the supply, which then elevates the property values. And of course, banks seeing this change of trend and have accelerated it. Yeah. So you look at, for example, cash buyers. Yeah. How many cash buyers? How many foreign investors are coming in and parking their cash? Because if they keep it in their country and their currency, they are only losing. And it's worse because inflation is high. And we will talk about inflation because I believe inflation should be government mandated at 7.2%. And that has to do with the burden of debt, and we'll get into it later. But we'll just talk about the housing crisis. So these foreign investors are coming into the United States, buying up all the property, and that displaces the local population. That local population finds it increasingly more difficult to find housing, and most 80% of foreign investors do not rent out their properties. For them, it's parking cash. So they think that if you rent out the property, there's going to be wear and tear, maintenance, problems with tenants, probable lawsuits if someone slips and falls and the thing. So they'd rather keep it empty. For them, it keeps cash in a safe place that they can access when they feel necessary or need to access that cash. However, in this current environment of low rates, there's no need. There's no need for them, and they know if rates continue going down, their properties are going to go up in value. You know, rich people are not rich because they are stupid. They are very intelligent. And they have access to more intelligent people that can explain to them what to do. Right? So you can see by utility usage, and for example, it was quite easy. I wrote an algorithm to check utility usage and like water, hydro, because if you buy in a more temperate climate, your utility usage is lower. If you buy in a cooler environment, you have things to think of like, for example, your pipes freezing and water bursting in the home, which can destroy your investment. So what you do is look at what the minimum, and my algorithm looks at that minimum. So 80% is what my algorithm told me, that houses that are purchased in the United States is for an investment because there's no utility usage, the bare minimum. And how you can tell, for example, electrical use, there is a minimum charge, 30, 40 bucks. Normally, if you're someone living in a home, right, and quite easy, 120 million homes, and you have 20 million with minimum electrical usage and absolutely no water usage, then 1/6 of all homes in the United States are owned by foreign investors, because there's no one renting, living, doing anything in that house. And for a foreign investor, that's a wise choice, because then the house is like a snapshot. You take a Polaroid of it, or in this case, you take your cell phone, take a picture, put everything on minimum. What's going to happen to the house? If the roof is good, foundation good, the house will maintain. It's like having a brick of gold. Gold appreciates about 1.5 to 3%. Same as a house. Same thing. Only gold is easier to exchange in smaller quantities than selling a house. But in this environment, you can sell a house like